are. It's back to the Campout in Greenwater for June. This is our new members Campout, so you're going to see some new faces here. We've been having some pretty interesting experiences. This is the first morning after our full day of Campout. There were a few of us who were here on Tuesday to set up. And, you know, there was only, I think, 4 or 5 of us. There wasn't a lot of experiences, so we didn't really do a meeting yesterday. So we're just going to touch on a few of the things that happened. I, for one, was in my tent trying to go to sleep, couldn't go to sleep. I started to nod off, and I woke up to myself clicking. Something in my head, I don't know whether it was a dream, something subconscious, I don't know what it was, but something told me you should try to click. So I clicked, and you know, the type thing, and that actually woke me up, and I went, oh, I'm clicking. And at that point I looked up and realized that the top of my tent kind of looked like the Omni Dome with pale stars. And I'm laying there and I'm looking up and I'm thinking, now, is that real? Am I just seeing things? My eyes adjusting? And about that time there was just a very localized flash of white light on the backside of my tent, just up toward the top, off the just slightly off center. And from that point on, I continued to watch the little pale stars, and there were a few that flickered and flashed just really intense bright light. And other than that, after that I fell asleep, and I don't really recall anything else that happened. But Linda, you had something you experienced on Tuesday night?
Yes, I woke up in the middle of the night, and you know, last year I had a lot of the thrushes. And yesterday, day before yesterday, I asked them, I told them I sure would love to hear those thrushes again. And so I woke up about 3:30, and they were coming from there. I mean, they were loud, very distinct.
The whistles.
The whistle, bird call. And so I just laid there and listened to it. I don't know how long, but maybe about, they say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. Not a real long time, but it was prolonged. And then I went back to sleep.
Okay, now let's point out here that this was around 3:30 in the morning.
3:30 in the morning.
They don't start whistling until the sun starts to come up, which would have been an hour and a half later. Yeah. Okay.
Big ones.
Yeah. Mitch, you heard something?
I can corroborate that. I heard the same.
The whistles?
It seemed really, coming from my area back, in my area. That's where it seemed like it was coming from me.
Okay.
And it didn't seem, I noted that it didn't seem like it was really that high up in the trees. It seemed kind of lower to the ground.
Okay.
And then again, 3:30 in the it was like, wow, that's really early. And I don't know.
I think that kind of wraps up what happened on Tuesday night. And then, you know, most of our campers arrived here yesterday. And unfortunately, it rained most of the day. We didn't really get out and do a whole lot. But I think there were some pretty interesting things that happened last night and this morning. So who'd like to go first?
Sandy should start.
Well, last night, the only thing I heard when I went to bed was stick breaks. Big stick breaks, not just little twigs. And they were behind us, more towards your area, out in that area, and there were 4 stick breaks. It wasn't like the crashing when we were here a month ago. Yeah. It was individual stick breaks, so it could have been anything, really.
Okay.
Went to sleep. This morning the alarm went off at 6, and right after that there was, I thought it was Gabby, because it was just a whining. It was kind of a high-pitched whine. It did nudge the tent, but it went around the tent. So I really thought it was Gabby coming to wake me up, and it was time to get up. And, you know, I just slowly, you know, in a low voice just said, oh, it's Gabby. Got up, didn't think anything more about it. She wasn't around, came over. She wasn't in the camp area. Didn't really think too much about it until I saw you walking up the trail with Gabby. And I asked you, I think I asked you earlier, was Gabby up when you got up, Christina? And she said, no, Gabby wasn't here. And I was like,
well, now hold on a minute. Before we talk about where Gabby was, why don't we let Christina say what she heard this morning or saw this morning too?
Okay.
Okay. So what was your experience?
We're over on the other side of the river, so we're about 100 yards from here. The crow flies, and we didn't have any activity, but I got up. I'm an early riser, 5:30, and by 6 o'clock, I realized that one of my duties, I remembered that I was to do the coffee, so I'm, oh crud. So now I'm in the hurry mode. So I was kind of pushing it a little fast, coming from my camp over the bridge up to the campsite, and I saw a loping, happy tail, black dog run out of where Sandy's tent is, zippy-doo across the road, and go right between the Courtney's tent and her car. And I didn't think anything of it, but I thought it was unusual because you don't get up that early usually. And I thought, wow, she's early. Man, she must have got a full night's sleep. And then you come out and you said, when did we determine the Gabby thing? You asked me where Gabby was, and I said she went that way, right?
I asked you. No, I remember. I asked you, was Gabby out here this morning? And you said no, I haven't seen her, because you came up the trail with Gabby, and then I was like, well, Barb, and was Gabby? Did you let Gabby out earlier?
I did not let Gabby out. You told me you came up
Yeah.
at 6 a.m.
6:05.
Your alarm went off at what time? 6?
And so she was just
Yeah.
right after
Gabby
that.
and I didn't get up till 7:30. The
Yeah.
tent was zipped. Gabby was in her cot sleeping until 7:30. So
So between 6 and 6:05, just exactly, the alarm went off, and I heard this
and it was running around your tent.
running around the tent, and then so
When you asked me
You were
about
already
Gabby,
up.
I thought you were going to feed her and you were looking for her at that moment.
no, 'cause
I
she
didn't
always
think you were
comes and
referring
gets
to
me.
it as 5 minutes ago when she ran by. I thought you were going to give her a hot dog or something. I said,
Yeah.
no, I haven't seen her.
No, because it was so within that 5 minutes, all of that happened.
Yeah.
And so
Well-
the only thing out here with a tail would be a cougar.
It was
Well-
jet black, and it was like a happy dog lope, not like a
Yeah.
cat. And I saw
It
the
was
tan.
Gabby.
It was Gabby. It was
was-
Gabby.
Unless Gabby has figured out how to unzip the tent, let herself out, come back, re-zip the
herself.
tent, get back into her bed under her
I always
blankie.
did it as a
I've been
kid.
found
I found a way to sneak out of the house.
She's not that good.
It was very bizarre. It was peculiar.
Okay.
It was fast too. It was a very her fast trot. Like
Okay.
she's on a mission. When you guys walk away from the camp, she does the fast lope. That's what it looked like.
Well, this isn't the first time this has happened where we've thought we've seen Gabby. A few years ago, when I had a friend who was here helping me set up camp, we were in the area down below here. She was watching camp while I was transporting stuff back and forth, and I had come with a carload, and we were unloading, and she goes, "Oh, look, there goes Gabby."
Yeah.
Well, where'd she go? She saw her run between two trees and didn't come out on the other side, and I said, well, no, Gabby's not here. She's still at the house. We haven't brought her here yet.
Right.
So, and then there was also the experience when it was June a couple of years ago when Sam came out in the middle of the night and saw Gabby running around the fire pit,
Mm-hmm.
except Gabby was once again zipped
Right.
into the tent with
Wasn't
me.
Gabby.
Wasn't Gabby. We also had an experience down behind the cabin at the gifting area
Yep.
one day. When I was filming the gifting bucket, my camera shut off, and I'm like, my camera died.
Right.
And at that point, I see this dog, what I thought was a dog, run up the trail, and I only got a glimpse of the black flash around the end of the log, and Gabby came from behind me, took off after it, and then came back, looking back over her shoulder like, wait a minute, where'd you go? Like, it
Right.
was supposed to be the chase game.
Right. Right.
And then, but nobody was there.
Yeah.
Nothing was there.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
very interesting.
Don't know.
Okay.
It just whined.
But it didn't nudge the tent
It did
either.
nudge the tent, and I usually don't let her in the tent because she's dirty, on my bed. So I just get up and get dressed and then open the tent. But she wasn't there.
No, she was in
wasn't
her
waiting
bed.
for me.
And we didn't
She
find
was
any
at them,
tracks.
and we didn't find
Follow.
any prints.
Okay.
Yeah, we looked.
All right. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you had something missing from your gift stump this morning.
Wow, I love these segues into other people.
I know. Well, trail.
Word gets around.
Yeah.
Nothing, no biggie, but I set up a gifting site from what I've been doing last camp on a stump. And I had a bunch of marbles and a bunch of big marbles and a bunch of smaller marbles and some teddy bears. And the small marbles are gone. And I checked the ground underneath. It hadn't rolled off the stump. It's kind of like it's an old stump that has a lot of moss over it, so it's turned into a mound. And it didn't roll down on the ground, so the marbles are gone. Maybe 6, 7 of them.
Wow. And they were there yesterday?
Yep.
Okay, right on.
Cool.
Cool.
And in my
Okay.
little gift area, the only thing that was moved, because I've got everything blue, the only thing that was moved was the little mold, sand mold, kitty sand mold. That's the only thing that was moved. Everything
Wow.
else
Nice.
is intact.
Okay.
So I would say, just from what I'm seeing from friends of mine who are YouTubers, Sasquatch YouTubers, this kind of stuff, like the marbles could show up other places. So everyone keep their eyes out. They see
Yeah.
marbles
Yeah,
show up
we've
there.
had
Look at that.
little fake plastic jewels that went from Eastern Washington to Sandy's kitchen.
And across the field, the
Yeah.
grassy
Awesome.
field, remember, and into
Yeah.
the empty.
Yeah, well, no, that
ice
was
chest.
into the ice chest, but
Into the
then
ice
one
chest.
back at your
Well,
house.
yeah, I know that too. Yeah, in the bag.
Yeah.
So fun. So we're looking for marbles.
Okay. I was so tired last night when I went to my tent. I just went in and immediately got comfortable and was going to go to sleep. And at one point I did look up, and just as I had gotten comfortable, there was that initial flash of just a very isolated flash of light on the back of my tent again. And I listened first. Maybe somebody was coming up the trail behind me. There were no footsteps. I never heard anything. Just that same one flash. And after that, I was out. I didn't hear or see anything.
Can I ask a question? The flash, the light that
Yeah.
you saw, when it's shining down on your tent, off center, could you see the limbs of the trees above you?
I could
shining-
not.
You-
It was just
That's
a
the same thing that
circular,
happened
bright
with
white
the-
light that was maybe a foot across, maybe a little 14
Yeah.
inches.
But
and
it didn't
it-
show any limbs
no,
or branches.
No, it
the
just
light.
illuminated
Yeah.
the upper part of the tent in that
Yeah.
one patch,
Yep,
just long enough for me to go, oh, that was a light, and it was gone.
that's what happened with Click.
Yeah.
It would just the top of the tent. There were no branches, because then later on, before Kevin got up to see who was shining into the forest, their flashlight, we could see the branches on the side of the tent and just over the top,
Casting shadows.
casting shadows. But the other ones, there were no
Yeah,
shadows.
no, I didn't see any either. No.
Interesting.
Did you see the lights? Was Click talking the same time the lights, or did the lights come on after he was done?
No, the little starry lights, those were just at the beginning and just at the end. But the other light that would illuminate the top of the tent was during the whole interaction, and it would come and go, and it was several times. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it would just dissipate and go right to black because it was dark.
I was thinking that when we talked about this yesterday, that the starry omnidome effect on the
Yeah.
ceiling
Mhm.
was very similar to what you and Kevin had
right?
seen.
Exactly.
But when I saw the patch of light,
Right.
that made me think of Sam's report for the lights that she had seen. I didn't realize that
yeah.
you guys had also had that
Yep.
patch of light
We
too.
did several times.
Wow.
Yeah, hers was. Sam also talked about the light that was down low
By the ground,
by the
yeah.
ground too, shining down.
Yeah, and
Which
hers
reminds
lasted
me-
longer too.
Remember when we were in Ocean Shores and we were out there in that forest? Remember, and the light that shone down.
Oh
when
yes, we were
walking?
looking down the road, and there
Yeah.
was no
Oh, wasn't it?
source.
No, this is
Yeah,
over in Ocean Shores. There's that arboretum
yeah,
back in there, and we were walking the road. Remember that?
yeah.
And it actually, up ahead of us, there was like a cone-shaped light shining down from the sky. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah, and it lit up a whole patch of road way
Yeah.
up ahead of us, but there was no
Yeah.
source of it.
There's no source for the
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
Okay, has anybody else seen any odd lights since they've been here? Okay.
I'm camped down by the water, and there is a tent set up there, but it wasn't occupied last night, so I was very isolated. We, Peter, right? Peter and I were kind of the last people to go to sleep, last people to be at the camp fire. Everybody else had gone to bed. I went to my tent and set up. That was between 12:30 and 1:30 time frame, and there were 3 distinct things that happened during that time, which included faint voices, which was to my right, so coming up this way, faint voices talking. I couldn't make out what anybody was saying, but there was more than one. That happened, and then on the other side, close to the water, I heard a series of thuds, which, I mean, this ground's it gives that thud sound, so there was multiple thuds, and later I was still awake, eyes closed, and my face got really cold. I've got a great blanket and camping bag set up, but my face was very cold. I remembered I had a scarf in my bag next to me, so I opened my eyes to get the scarf, and like you said, off center, right up here, there was a cluster of light that had form, and I focused in on that, and then realized that there was an illumination happening on the tent from outside coming in, no shadows of trees or anything like that, and it wasn't moving, wasn't a flashlight, it was an illumination, and then the mass of light sparkles up in the top of the tent.
So that it was like a 3-dimensional light inside the tent.
Correct. Very dim, not like a light bulb or anything like that, but kind of like moving with like multiple lights all in a centralized area.
Were they colored?
No, it was more like just like muted whites, muted white sparkles, and no other. Oh, and then as I was laying there before the lights and after the voices and the thuds, I've felt before in the past, in 2016, on another intentional camping trip where I had real big vibration tingles happening in my head. This was less than that, but I still concentrated on it and felt it and acknowledged it, and then I felt this along the side of my head.
You got visited.
Yeah.
You were touched.
And then I fell asleep, and it was wonderful.
All right. Awesome.
Good sleep.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, now I believe we have some other people that felt vibrations last night.
Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah. So I would like, usually I'll try to find some rational physical reason something happened. But I asked Peter and Ashley, I started to say Alicia, Ashley to come because I thought, well, maybe there's a generator or something to do with a vent fan in the trailer that I got to stay in.
So you stayed in Courtney's trailer.
Stayed in for the night.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good introduction. Nice toe in the water first. And the floor was just vibrating like a mechanical vibrate. And I had, I was barefoot or with thongs on, or flip-flops, and it was all over. Anywhere I walked, I could feel it. And so I asked them to come, and they said, no, don't feel anything. I'm like, get yourself in here and take those shoes off. You're going to confirm to me what I'm feeling. And they didn't feel anything. So when I thought, well, I'll get it. When I got into bed, I was really trying to get myself oriented and everything put together. And got into bed, and the bed continued to vibrate. And Linda would say something about what she experienced at the same time. And I said, no, this has got to be a fan that's on a battery or something, because it just was so mechanical. It went on for so long.
There was no power in there. Everything is
Did you
shut
hear
off.
anything? Did you hear anything?
No, didn't. Well, I heard a lot. I was up most of the night.
Like a fan running. Did you
No,
hear the
I didn't
fan
hear a
running?
fan running. Just
Did
the
you
vibrating.
hear the heater running?
Okay,
Did you hear the
Sandy.
water pump?
Didn't hear it all. Nothing. Just
Okay.
felt it.
Nothing. Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did
I
you
felt.
say that-
Actually, I felt. I felt giddy all night. Like they got here first,
Ah.
And so I was feeling, a lot happened after that, but maybe you don't want to go into that now. But
No, go right ahead.
there,
Spill the beans. What is it?
well, it was like, I went over to look for footprints. It's like someone did this about 5 times. And I
Common.
felt like what you had said, Rob, last time. I should have said hi or what you want or something, because it did it 4 or 5 times, and I wake up and just got real comfortable with it. And then
So that you're saying the motor or the trailer was
the trailer right by my head went like this.
okay. Okay.
Fingerprints.
We need to look for that. I did look for footprints down that way. But then after that, I had an earthquake, and I thought, oh, everyone's going to talk about the earthquake. I mean, it was like an earthquake. Boom! Like aftershocks, and it went on for like 3 or 4 minutes,
What time was that?
a little bit, towards dawn. And
After
I
the
thought,
dog?
well, I
Before
don't
the
know if the
dog.
dog, I didn't have a clock, I wasn't looking at the clock, but I thought maybe it's related. I thought you guys would say at dawn you heard an earthquake or felt
No.
an earthquake, because it was not like the gentle movement like that. It was more prolonged.
Wow. Wow. Welcome to Barb and Gabby Camp.
That's quite an introduction.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
How does it make you feel? How do you?
I was not, I'm not worried about it
Okay.
or
Okay.
scared.
Okay.
My experience around Rainy Pass and the Cascades was more alarming. What happened there with being ordered out of the woods, given wings to fly off down the trail, but this was very humorous. It felt like, and I
Like
was
somebody was playing.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Cool.
saying hi. You're new. Guess what?
Welcome to camp.
Yeah. It does always seem to be the new folks that get the best stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
might have maybe I
Darn.
should have mentioned that.
That's a minor.
I don't know,
Yeah.
8:30 this morning, I did hear a couple of bird chirps, just like a chirp, chirp, like off, way off in that direction. And then after that, I remember hearing just really, really faint sounds off in the distance, off in that direction, just so faint that it's almost just above the threshold of hearing, but could have been like screams or yells.
Wow.
It sounded like people, but it's just so faint I couldn't tell if my
Okay.
ears were
We,
playing
we
tricks
get a
on
lot
me.
of that around here.
Possible grunt.
Oh,
Also
interesting.
very distant. And then, once dawn approached, I heard just a chorus of birds start singing. So that
The
kinda-
thrushes whistling and yeah,
um,
cool.
But
So you're comfortable spending another night out there in the woods by yourself?
honestly, I was pretty scared back there. I didn't know what to expect, so I was awake most of the night. But
No sleep in this camp.
I'll give it another try. And
Okay. All right.
Snap in your future.
Okay. Well, we haven't lost anybody yet, so you'll be okay.
I want to add on that because we talked about this last night, and it's exactly what Kiris is saying. And I've experienced this many times hiking alone around the Cascades, but happened to get on this hike, and I was the only one on the trail. I met 2 other British tourists. I started talking about Bigfoot, and they started getting down the trail quickly. No, they were really nice. We had a nice talk, and I mentioned, I was actually shooting a structure off trail, and they saw it when they came down. But there's no one for like 4 or 5 hours. Many, many times I'm hearing just below audible hearing level, like people in a picnic. Lots of people, like kids playing, and I'm just saying, what is going on here? It's just so faint coming down the trail, and it happens a lot. And I'm hearing voices, and it's just below hearing level. And it's really interesting because I know what silence is like when there's this dead silence in the floors. It's very kind of jarring. And I've experienced this a few times now, so I have no idea what this is about. I think someone said last night, if I would have said this publicly 30 years ago, I would have been locked up, or 40 years ago, or put on
Probably.
Thorazine. but I just thought I want to share it because it is palpable. I mean, I'm experiencing this, and I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
I was experiencing just last week over at Campbell Tree Grove exactly what you were hearing. You could hear the conversations. We're the only ones in the campsite, in the whole area. Nobody's up there, and I could hear like a man and a woman talking, and then there's like somebody was having a convention like a quarter mile away, kind of with a blowhorn, but it wasn't loud. But that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
It wasn't loud as a blowhorn, but it sounded like announcing something.
Right.
And then, kids and mom and dad talking. And I'm like, I asked my wife, I said, do you hear anything? She goes, all I hear is a car. She basically, it's the sounds that you can hear around there. And so I thought I was going crazy, but now there's a couple other people here that are crazy as me.
Me
We're all
too.
there. We've all heard the conversation.
I thought it
Yeah.
was
I wanna
dementia. I thought
mention
maybe I had
about,
dementia.
Cheryl that left.
Yeah.
I had gone down to my truck about an hour before she went down to her car. We're down that way, and she came back after she'd gone down and said my car lights were on.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't on when I was down there. I would have come back and said, "Oh, your lights are on. You should turn them off." But that was odd. But then my cell phone immediately drained right after I got here,
That happens.
and the two power packs that you can plug them into.
Dead.
Dead.
Too?
Yeah, I charged them before I came.
That happens
So-
all the time.
It's pretty common around our camps for the
Yeah.
batteries to just go dead.
Yeah,
car batteries?
Yeah, Bumping Lake, that happened.
That's
to me.
happened too, yeah.
Your
Go to
car.
turn it.
So-
your
Yeah,
car.
my car was dead, yeah.
So it might be interesting if you go into town, just check your battery level because truly,
yeah,
it could be fully charged again.
yeah.
It happens a
Yeah.
lot too.
Happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
we've
the
had that happen.
volcano.
We've had
It's
that
the
happen
volcano.
when we were out just behind your cabin. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
And your camera won't work.
sorry.
My camera doesn't work. The thermal that we go back to her cabin, just down the trail, everything's fully charged. Again.
Yeah, and everything's functioning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's.
You
common.
just never know.
How fun is that?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I want to, after he said it and you said it, yesterday I was very preoccupied by that area over there. And, at my age, sometimes I think, because when it is quiet, I tend to hear little muffled noises. So I don't pay attention to it. I think, God, it's, dementia is setting in. So I heard muffled voices up in there. And I felt like, I don't know how to explain it. It felt like it was somebody trying to talk to me. So I would get up there and I'd get over there closer, and I'm kind of wobbly, so I didn't, like, it goes down and then you have to go up. And I would say, I'm right here. Hello, I'm right here. Did anybody see me? I mean, I thought, God, I look crazy. But I tell you, it was something trying to talk to me. But it was just below audible. I could not make out what they were saying. But it was... So now that you said it,
Yeah.
then I feel okay because I did all afternoon. I'd walk up there, and I'd think, okay, I'm back, I'm here. And I'd say it out loud, and then it'd stop for a while, and I'd start walking down, that was weird. So I feel okay because I thought, now you've gone over.
Okay.
Happening.
It's not just you.
No.
Well, the other
Alright,
side.
cool.
Good.
Now,
Okay.
the only other thing is, I maybe, just out of the corner of my eye when we were sitting here earlier this morning, I look up and I could have swore I thought one of our people were up there
Oh, is it?
walking down the road because
Is that quick?
I just seen like
Is that
looked like a
upper lake?
figure walk, and then I'm sitting here waiting for him to go past the tree, and nobody goes past the tree. So I thought maybe I'm seeing things. I didn't hear anybody go crashing up in the woods, but I just like, and then I can't even tell you, if it was a person or a squatch. It just looked like maybe one of our people walking down the hill, but I don't know. It could have been nothing too.
It's a very
Okay.
interesting area.
Well,
And then
around
boom,
here you
boom, and
just
then
don't know.
gone.
Mhm.
Wow. Cool. Okay.
So the the most activity is in this area and back this way.
Oh, it happens all
It's
over.
everywhere.
It's everywhere. From one night to the next.
Are you trying to feel better about
I'm
being
trying.
down below?
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm thinking
Oh,
maybe
it's very
I'd-
quiet down there.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
It's really quiet on the other side of the river. Nothing
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, nothing happens over here.
Come on, guys. Nowhere is safe.
You're fine.
Okay.
Just don't ask Mitch, Rob, or Kevin to come to your rescue.
I saw that. That's right. I thought, oh, how cute.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
That's not gonna happen.
I will
If
if
anyone will come to
If you
anybody's
keep
rescue.
screaming, I will come. Yeah,
Barbara,
okay.
let's go. What's wrong?
One scream and I'm gonna go up. They're good.
She'll
I
send
have
Gabby to the
my,
rescue.
my car alarm attached to my wrist.
That's a good idea.
There you go.
And then,
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
Go off and then
We'll go.
release
Oh,
it.
it's just the electronics messing up again.
Oh.
No, we'll
The
come.
other
We'll
thing
come.
I used to do is fake a cough or something at night, and everything will stop around
That's
your
true.
tent.
Yeah.
Just-
Actually, that's a
if
good
they
point.
think you're awake or they know you're awake, they stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
talk to them, I talk
Yeah.
because I get nervous sometimes. So nice, I'm glad you're
It's
here.
normal.
Thank you, or cough, or
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
then usually it does stop activity.
Oh, really?
If it's
Yeah.
around your tent or around the outside your window.
Okay.
And if they think you're sleeping,
So they're not going to talk to me like they did Kevin.
It could.
I
I
say
don't know
something.
that. That was highly unusual. That's the first time in 5 years that I've ever experienced anything like that. I mean,
So-
and that was amazing.
Yeah.
That
So you just
click
don't
was
know what's gonna
astonishing.
happen.
You don't.
Okay. So I'm running out of battery now. So
Okay.
I think that maybe unless anybody else has anything they want to throw in real quick, we're gonna wrap it up. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Okay. Well, I can
everybody.
hardly wait to see what's gonna happen next.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!